Hi, I'm Ashley Emma, author of Undercover Amish and Amish Under Fire. And today I have Nathan Miller with me here. So thank you so much for talking to me today.
No problem.
Thanks. You are my first person that I'm interviewing in this series. So you're going to be the first one answering these questions. I'm going to ask a lot of the people similar questions, but of course, everyone will have different answers probably. Because, like you were saying, all the Amish communities are different, they have different rules and different customs. And I think a lot of the people, especially, well, my readers are really great. I think they understand that. But sometimes I get Amazon reviews saying, well, this wouldn't have been allowed, and like bikes or something wouldn't have been allowed. And I try to say, like, well, where I went in Maine, they were allowed, and they're all different. So I think that's really important. I think a lot of people don't understand that they're all different. So that, I guess.
Okay, so I grew up in Clark, Missouri. That's actually where I was born at, and I lived there, or me and my family lived there till I was 13, and then when I was 13, we moved out of that community to a more modern community, so we had more stuff. It was pretty more modern. I mean, there were still a lot of things you couldn't have, but it was a pretty big step. And I lived there like, till I was 17, and then I left the Amish for, I guess it was kind of, I mean, different reasons. Probably one of the biggest reasons was I, my beliefs on the Bible didn't really line up on what was being lived out and what I could see every day, and so that's one of the biggest reasons why I left.
Did you leave by yourself or your family also?
I left by myself.
Oh wow. Do you still talk to your family at all, or are they like not allowed to talk?
Yeah, I talk with them. I still
Oh,
talk
good.
with them a lot, and usually my parents.
Oh, that's
Every
good.
once in a while, I mean, if they're traveling through here, they'll pick me up and I'll go with them, and so yeah, we're still pretty connected with each other.
Wow, that's really great because I always hear about when people leave, they get shunned. So were you not baptized yet into the church when
I
you
would
left?
just know.
Okay,
I
so that's why. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So if someone were to leave from where you were living, and they were baptized, would they have been shunned if they would have left?
Yeah, they would have been shunned. Like they they could have gone back and visited, but like they could have not ate at the same table, or
Hmm.
there's a lot of stuff they could have not done. They could have maybe visited for maybe an hour or so, and then they would have had to leave.
Oh wow, I didn't even
But
expect that.
in, but in my case, a lot of times when I go back to visit, I'm there for like, I mean, I might go there in time for breakfast and stay there over lunch or something like that. So usually I'm there like over half a day, and that kind of surprised me after I left. I wasn't really expecting that they'd be that lenient, but then again, every parent is different, and they're
That's
all
true.
different. Not like they all think the same. So
Right, right. And then you were saying that your beliefs about the Bible didn't line up um, with the what you were seeing in the community. Could you give me like an example of one of those?
like example, one example would be a lot of the things I read, and I mean, I try to do like a lot of research on that stuff and
Mm-hmm.
research in the Bible, other books about that. And one of the things I would see the biggest thing is it's like, I mean, I guess I would believe that Jesus is the only way to heaven, that
Mm-hmm.
like the only way you could get to heaven. But I mean, a lot of the times it seems like they try to put other stuff that you have to do, like you have to do this, you have to dress this way, you have to do what we said, and then you'll get to heaven. So it's almost like they're putting themselves in the, like, if you do this and this, you'll be fine and you'll get to heaven. But I mean, it's something bigger than that is what I see.
Right. I didn't know that. I mean, I don't know if like where I went in Maine, it definitely wasn't like that. They were definitely they believed that the only way to get to heaven was believing in Jesus and that's it. There's nothing that you can do. So that's different. That's the first I've heard. Um, and like I said, like they're all different. So maybe it was that specific place. The place where you lived when you were younger, was that also like that, or just was it the second place that you moved to?
It was the first place. Well, actually, they were both, but the first place was even worse, I would say. They tried.
Okay.
I mean, they went around. They like have all these rules, like their hat brim has to be like 4 inches wide or something like that.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Like some of the more privileged ones had a hat brim under 4 inches wide, and then they kind of looked the other way. But then
Hmm.
it always seemed like there were always being some that were always constantly getting picked on, and usually those were the ones that they always made a big fuss about the little things like that, just how they dress their hair and cut their hair and little things like that. I mean, it's just little things like that that I don't see eye to eye on, and
No.
that's one of the reasons that I'm not Amish today.
That's. I mean, like I know they have like really specific rules, but I didn't realize that some places were teaching you have to do those specific things in order to get into heaven. I just thought it was their rules. I guess like I don't know. I didn't realize that there was a connection there. But I mean, would you say like a lot of Amish communities are not that way though? They have the rules, but they're not saying you have to do this in order to get into heaven.
I wouldn't want to speak on behalf of every community,
Right. Yeah, that's true. They're all different.
but
Yeah.
so as for most of the ones I know, and it may not even be true, but like from all the things I've observed and
Mm-hmm.
all the things I've seen, it would kind of seem like they kind of try to put in that. Because usually if I like ask my parents or other Amish if I would I would ask them like, could I get to heaven if I left the Amish? And they would, well, it wouldn't be as great of a chance since you were born Amish, and if you left the Amish, you couldn't get to heaven. So
Really? Oh wow. Did your parents think that too, or just like the other people that were?
they kind of actually they didn't really want to say it, but I kind of pestered them enough to
Mm.
where they finally came out with it.
Oh wow, that
So
is sad.
it,
Yeah.
that kind of, and then again, I'm not speaking in behalf of every community, or only the ones I know of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're all really different. Do you live like where you live now? Is it pretty close to where your family lives, or did you
No,
just?
I live in Indiana now, and that's like maybe 5, 6 hours away from
Oh wow.
where my family lives at. Actually, I'm working for an Amish construction crew, so that's a pretty big difference from the communities around here to the communities from where I grew up in.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
They let the they let us ex-Amish work with them, like drive the Amish buy the truck, the Amish construction owners buy the trucks, and like the Ex-Amish drive their trucks to work and everything else. So
That's really cool,
and
actually.
his brother-in-law actually is Ex-Amish, and they're business partners. So that's just a big difference too.
Oh wow, that's really cool that you all work together. Um, and earlier, I'm not sure how the audio will be, but you were saying how since you were not baptized yet, you weren't shunned, and you still stay in contact with your family. But I didn't realize you lived so far from them. So when they travel through, and you get to see them, are they traveling to see family, like kind of near you, or do you have family
Usually
around you?
is like a month ago, my mom had to have surgery on her hands, carpal tunnel surgery, and they went to Ohio. And they drove through here, so they asked me if I wanted to go with them and spent the day with them. I did that, and I told them, sure, I'd like to. So I did. I went with them to Ohio. We actually had a pretty good time. I mean, I almost can believe that they would do that, but I mean that they were allowed to do that, but they did it, and I have some relatives, like not close, they'd be close related to my dad that live close, like in the Topeka, Sichuan area
Mm-hmm.
of Indiana, and they stayed there overnight, and I stayed at the house, Amish family's house overnight. It was it didn't bother them at all.
Oh wow, that's really awesome. I think that you still get to see them and everything.
Yeah,
Um, and there was something else I was going to ask you. Oh, how many siblings do you have, and do you still talk to them?
I have two brothers and three sisters.
Oh wow,
I talk with them a lot. I actually the both of my brothers have a cell phone, which they're not really allowed to
yeah,
have.
that's interesting. So some of them kind of
And
sneak
one
around.
of my sisters has a cell phone, so usually I sometimes I'm in contact with them every day, and sometimes it's every other week or
Mm-hmm.
so.
Do they text you or just call?
She texts me and
I'm also one of six kids, which is funny. I am one of there's five of us girls and one boy. And people used to like when I was younger, we were homeschooled and well, we were all homeschooled, but people would say like, "Are you Amish?" We're not, but because there were six of us and we were homeschooled, they would say like, "Do you have electricity?" And we're like, "We're normal people." I don't know, like I don't know why people used to ask us that. Now homeschooling is much more common, so um, I don't think we would be asked that now. But people still always say, "Well, there's six of you." That's to me, it's not a lot. I loved having a lot of siblings, but like where you were from, were there a lot of kids in the families?
yeah, there were a pretty fair amount of kids
Mm-hmm.
in the families. Like maybe the average amount was probably
Yeah,
kids.
eight. That's still a lot.
I think probably about the biggest families had 14, 15 kids.
Wow. Wow. That's actually like incredible to me. But where I stayed,
Kids,
oh sorry, go ahead.
that's a lot of kids.
I mean, yeah, even to you it's a lot of kids. Yeah. Where I stayed, they had well, I stayed with one family, they had 12 kids. One family had 9 kids, and then I stayed with a couple. They'd only been married for like 3 years, I think, and they had 2. But yeah, most of the families had like between 8 and 12. I didn't meet any who was 15, but that's like a TV show where they almost. But wow, that's really interesting. And I haven't even actually asked you any of these questions on my list here. Um, so I have a list of questions from my readers, and let's see. Somebody asked actually a really good question, and I'm gonna try to find it here. It was on the top. They said, like, what questions would you like to be asked. And I thought that was interesting because we were coming up with all of these questions, and like, is there anything that you, let me find it here, that you would want to say, like if there were any stereotypes that you think are annoying, or like anything that you would want people to know, based on like how you grew up, or is there anything that you would want to tell people? Maybe it's something that's like misunderstood or anything like that.
Probably the biggest thing that I like people to understand is that not every community is the same, and that they vary from place to place, from community to community. So, I mean, there are a lot of communities that kind of agree on the same thing, but they might have a few things different here and a few things different there. Like some communities have bikes and bicycles, everything like that, and then the next community has nothing like that, and so a lot of people think, well, this community has this and that, and
Right.
every other community must be the same as this community. But
Yeah.
I mean that, and so yeah, and it's not all based. It's not. I wouldn't say like these big Hollywood TV shows and everything else about the Amish. I wouldn't say that they are really about the Amish.
Oh.
They kind of narrative in their kind of for the money. I would think. I
Yeah.
think is what I see them
People always ask me
because.
about that too. Yeah.
But then again, in Pennsylvania, the Amish are, to me, the Amish are pretty weird. They do things pretty weird there. So
Yeah.
it might be the same as the Amish in Pennsylvania. I don't know if you, and if you would have an interview with the Amish or ex-Amish from Pennsylvania, they might tell you a whole different thing than I have to tell you.
Right.
So
Yeah. Exactly.
yeah,
Of course. Yeah. Everyone's different. Um, and about the TV shows, people always ask me, like, when I say I write Amish fiction, they always say, "Oh, you must love Amish Mafia and Breaking Amish," and I don't even know what else. I've never seen any of them because I don't have. Well, I have TV, but I don't have channels. Um, are those like totally fake, or am I just imagining?
yeah,
Okay,
those are totally.
okay, because I was
I mean, the
saying
way
that.
everything else.
Yeah, because they wouldn't want to be filmed, right? If they were still Amish, they wouldn't want to
Right.
be filmed. And it's about people who are
Unless
still Amish, right?
you're Amish.
Okay. Although some of them, I guess, are in the process of leaving. Um, but like Amish Mafia, like there's no such thing as an Amish Mafia, right? No.
No, there's not.
Good. I'm like, okay. I hope I wasn't misleading people, but I was like, I'm pretty sure that's not real. So, um, okay. And I can't remember if there are any other shows like that, but yeah, I've never seen any of them, and I kind of don't want to see them because I don't want it to like skew my image of the Amish at all, because I like really admire the Amish, and I respect them and everything, and I don't want like get a different, like I don't want to see them portrayed like negatively, and I think a lot of the times those shows do portray it negatively. Like um I mean, I know they're leaving and like you left, but there's still so many good things about the Amish too that I really think are really great. And my readers think the same thing, I think. Sorry, what did you say?
I would say there's a lot of good things. I mean,
Really?
me, I left the Amish, and I don't agree with them on every single thing. I don't. Well, actually, there's a lot of stuff I don't agree with them on, but then there's a lot of things that I'm thankful for
Mm-hmm.
what I got taught when I grew up, because I mean, like morals and
Mm-hmm.
values, everything like that.
Right.
Because nowadays you don't really see much kids
Yeah.
with morals and values.
That's
So
true.
I'm pretty thankful for it. I'm so pretty. They're pretty good group though, even though I don't agree with them on a lot of stuff.
Right. Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things that people who read Amish romance, I think what they love about the books is that they like the morals and they like the values. And our lives are so crazy busy all the time. And I think that the like us, the readers, we crave like simplicity and peace and quiet. And I think that's like what the Amish are known for. And that's why they like the books, I think. And of course, the romance is always sometimes some of the books are like scandalous romance, which I don't like, but only a few. I think most of them are pretty accurate though. Um, so do you know anyone who married someone who was not Amish and then they left or anything like that? Like any romance stories that are anything like what are in the books?
Not that I know of. I don't think I've ever heard a case where someone actually had a relationship with someone out of the community.
Hmm.
I don't know of any one, but I know that up here in Indiana, where the Amish around where I live, a lot of them like the girl might be dating a English guy, so or like an English or ex-Amish guy, and they don't really say anything about that because
Yeah.
so yeah, it's kind of I don't know the people, but I like hear of it all the time
Oh,
up
okay.
here.
So it happens. Um,
Yeah, it's up here.
are you the only person that you know who left from where you were living, or do you know anybody else who left?
Actually, I know two other kids who recently left the Amish from where I came from.
Oh, they just
They
recently.
left maybe a month or less ago.
Oh, wow. Do you keep in touch with them at all, or no, you don't really?
Yeah, I keep in touch. Yeah.
That's good because like when you
The one was actually my neighbor.
what did you say?
We were actually neighbors with them.
Oh,
The one kid.
when you because when you left, did did you know any like did you know anyone that you were gonna go live with or anything like or were you completely on your own when you left? Like, did you have any resources or anything?
I had an uncle who left the Amish,
Oh.
and he had, excuse me, he had his own construction business.
Mm.
And then my mom's cousin lived right down the road from him. So I lived with my mom's cousin and started working for my uncle.
Oh, okay.
So I had pretty good resources when I left,
Oh, that's
I
good.
would say.
Yeah, that is really fortunate that you had that. And do you think when other people leave, do they usually like make a plan and they contact people first to stay with or anything like that, or do sometimes they just they just leave?
Usually, sometimes I know that they plan it out a couple weeks ahead, but most of them that I know of usually just they want to leave, but I mean they just call and tell them, hey, pick me up tomorrow night.
Oh, wow.
Whoever, oh hey, do you have anything going on this day or this that you could pick me up? Or some might leave and then maybe the next day get someone to pick them up.
Wow. And they usually are not baptized yet when they leave.
Yeah, usually
Okay.
they're not. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, a lot of people who are baptized do leave too.
Oh, and then they can't talk to their family after that, right? Or their family won't talk to them.
They can they can talk to their family, but
Yeah.
they don't have a like they can't talk with them as long or whatever.
Okay. And you were saying like they can't sit at the same table with them. Um, but I am surprised that you said they can stay for like a little bit, like an hour. And I thought that when someone was shunned, like they couldn't even like be in the same room with them or anything, have like zero contact. So that is interesting. And maybe other places are different. And one person said, just recently left a review on one of my books. In the book, one of the main character, the woman, leaves the Amish after her husband dies, and she kind of still stays in contact with her family, and by through letters, just letters, and it was secretly. It was done secretly because she had already been baptized, so she was shunned. And someone left a review saying, "I think the bishop would have taken the mail out of the mailbox so that they couldn't read the letters." I was like, that's illegal, first of all, to take someone's mail out of their mailbox. And they could have still done it in secret, even though it was against the rules. Like, do you find that even though some things are against the rules, like you were saying, having a cell phone or kissing before you get married, they still do it just secretly and no one knows about it?
Yeah, they still do it. They, like, some communities have, like, hints of courtship where they can hold hands or anything, but most of the communities I know, they do do the kissing and stuff like that. They get intimate with each other
Yeah.
before they get, and it's not a big deal.
Okay. That's what I thought. I was just talking to somebody about that the other day. And she's like, just because it's against the
But
rules. Yeah. Sorry, what were you saying?
there are some communities that do have, like, the hints of courtship
Mm.
thing where they can't hold hands till they get married or anything like
Yeah.
that.
I thought that was pretty common. I mean, I think a lot of places do that.
Yeah,
That's where that's what it's like in Unity, Maine, where I went. It's like 2 hours away from me. They said they didn't even hold hands or anything. One time I heard that there's this tradition where like a couple before they get married, they sleep in the same bed, but there's a broom between them. Like, is that true or not? That just sounds kind of funny to me.
yeah, that works in true for Amish. It is true.
Really?
The,
That's so
the
funny.
called it's called bed courtship.
Oh,
Actually, a lot of sports in Trooper Amish split up because of that. They split into, like, they had to move out of the community or they'd be shunned.
oh,
So well, it would be my great, they were Schwartz and Trooper Amish, and they didn't agree with the bed courtship rules, so the community split up, and whoever decided to stay there would have been shunned.
that.
Uh,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Like, would have decided to stay there, not join a different church or something, they would have been shunned. So that's where my great grandparents moved to Missouri.
Okay. And what is the purpose of that practice? Like, is that I have no idea. I can't think of a reason.
I don't I don't know what the purpose of that practice is
It's
either.
funny. It's like they
I
can't hold hands, but they can sleep in the same bed. What? I don't know. That's just bizarre to me. That's like the weirdest Amish tradition I think I've ever heard. The only weird one, sorry, but that's just really funny. And is that the only group that does it? The Schwarzenegger?
As far as I
Mm.
know, not all the Schwartz and troopers do it
Oh,
either.
right, because they split.
Not all the Schwartz troopers have that rule either.
Okay. It's just really funny to me. And I don't know if a lot of the readers know about that, but I'd only heard about it once. And I thought it was one of those things that was a myth. I was like, there's no way that can be true. But I guess it is. So that's I've definitely learned something new. Let me find another question. There's a good list down here. Some of these are kind of funny. um, a lot of these questions were going to be meant for someone who is still Amish. So I'm like trying to find one that would apply to you. I'm hoping I can get an interview with someone who is still Amish, and I'm not expecting them to do like a video call. I bet they would do an audio, maybe. Um, sorry, not a call. I'd go there in person because I know they don't have computers. But oh, this is an interesting one. So we know when the men are married, they have beards. We were wondering, do women do anything particular? Like, I know they don't have wedding rings. So, is there any way to tell if a woman is married or not by like how she looks?
Sometimes there is, and sometimes, like the community I was born in, they had, like, now I'm not even sure how to call them, like, over their dress had, like, a white cape.
Okay, I think I've seen
That
that.
was cross. The cape was, like, crossed over there. And then after they got married, they, like, didn't have to wear a cross cape anymore, so it was like straight, the pins were, like, up and down on the cape of the dress.
Oh wow,
So that was a way to
huh?
tell. But then in the community I moved to, they didn't do anything, so you couldn't really tell if an Amish woman was married or not married.
Okay.
But usually they wear like a black cap if they're not married.
Oh really? I know like where I went they.
Usually they wear
Oh sorry.
black cap, I think.
Oh
And once they're married, they wear a white cap.
okay. Where I went in Maine, they had these like black covers for their covers. If that makes sense. It was like a black
Yeah,
when they would go outside, they would put it on over the white head covering. But that's the only time I had seen that a black one. So that's what I thought it was for. So in some places, you can tell if someone's married, but if they have a black or a white one, and it's not a, it doesn't matter if they're going outside or not. That's just what they wear. Oh, that's really
yeah.
interesting. Okay, let me find another one. Um, yeah, a lot of these are meant for people who are still Amish. Oh, someone was asking, how did you survive 3 hours of church services on wooden benches? And first of all, were they 3 hours where you lived generally?
Usually they were more like 3.5 hours.
Oh, okay. Well, close. That's pretty close.
The preachers, for some reason, the preacher never wanted church to go out a little bit earlier or like on 3 hours. So usually it was anywhere from 3.5 hours to 4 hours.
Oh.
So
So it would go to four
yeah,
hours sometimes?
it seemed like it was always the preachers who were always the ones that most of the people didn't like because those were usually the preachers pigging on other people. So
Oh. Oh my god.
it was almost like their way of revenge or what.
Oh wow. Um sorry, that just cut out. Sorry, what was the last thing you said?
I don't know what was going through their minds when they did that, but that's what they
Oh
did.
my gosh. Wow, 4 hours is a really long time. Where I go to church, we do a 2 hour service, but there's like a 15-minute break in the middle. So it really doesn't seem like 2 hours. But we have chairs and there's backs on them and it's comfortable. So it's not
Yeah,
anything like
that's
that.
what I like about the church I go to.
What was it?
It's nice and comfortable. I mean, it has chairs
Right.
too.
And so you still go to church now, and what kind of a church do you go to?
It's non-denominational, like it's not connected to. I mean, they're pretty conservative, you would say, like in their beliefs. I mean, they try to live out, or like they do live out their faith and what they believe in. I mean, not saying that they're perfect because I don't know if I've ever met a perfect person,
Right,
but
of course.
I mean, it's just where I felt like I was lit to go, so I started going there, and I'm still there.
Wow.
And it's called Mount Moriah, but it's like a non-denominational. Actually, the pastor is used to be Amish
Oh
too,
wow. That's interesting.
and a few of the people who go there used to be Amish too,
Mm.
and the one family used to be like beach Mennonite. So I mean, other than that, the rest of them are all Englishers. So
Oh wow. And that's so you call them Englishers, people who are not Amish, right?
I don't call
Yeah.
them that anymore,
Yeah.
but the Amish call I just call it no. I just call myself a normal person now.
Right. Yeah. And so that's yeah. I figured I wondered if most places did call them that, because I put it in my books and I've seen it in all the Amish books. Um, so I think it's really great that you still believe in the Bible and believe in God and everything. You still go to church, because I've heard of a lot of cases where when people leave the Amish, they completely abandon their faith. Like in my book, actually, that's what happens in the beginning. The woman leaves and she basically becomes an atheist. And then when she has to go back to investigate crime, she's a police officer, and she ends up getting her faith back and like as the book goes on. But I that's what I thought that would be kind of more typical, that they would just kind of like not be Christian anymore at all. But that's really great. You still are. And do you happen to know if those other two people that recently left, if they still are, or if you're still keeping in contact with them, or no?
I they don't go to church, but I mean, they're like I wouldn't like I don't live close to them, so I don't really know how they
Right, right.
live out their life. But I do know that they don't go to church anymore. I mean, that's usually what happens with the big majority of the people who do leave.
Really, yeah,
They don't go to church anymore.
yeah.
Sometimes they go later.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Um, and you always hear the stories about um, like when the Amish go on their, I might be saying it wrong. Is it Rumspringa or Roomspringa? Oh, either.
Both
Oh,
from
okay. They People always say like, oh, they
yeah.
party and they drink and they go crazy and like, do you think that's always the case or no?
I would say around here in Indiana, the communities they do have that what they call
Mm-hmm.
Rumspringa, and I do know that they do have pretty big parties. I've never been to any. I don't drink or anything like that. So
Yeah.
I mean, I know of like they go to have some pretty big parties, especially in like Topeka, Sitchuana
Mm-hmm.
area, Ligonier. They have Amish get busted with like the teens get busted with drugs and
Oh man. Yeah.
stuff like that. I mean, you see it in the news. Like I think it was a few months ago. There was like a Amish party busted where 20 kids got ticketed or like fined. I think they got ticketed.
Are they underage usually?
Yeah, or underage.
Okay, because they haven't been baptized yet, right? Usually.
And there were a few that were over 21, so
Okay.
those got tickets because
Yeah.
supplying alcohol and all that kind of stuff.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, that's pretty common around here.
Did you say you live near Shipshewana?
Yeah.
There is okay. So I'm part of a huge Amish book lover Facebook group. It's called Keeping Up with the Amish. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's big. Um, and they are fantastic. And they have a big event coming up in August, that they're going to go to Shipshewana. And a lot of the Amish authors are going. And I really wish I could go, but I can't go. But they're going to be around. I don't know what it is. The first week of August, I don't know. So they're going to be doing, I think, breakfast at an Amish farm and different events like that. And I wish I could go, but that's right near you, which is kind of funny. But
Yeah, like maybe less than a minute, I think,
oh wow,
from me.
oh that is so cool. I'm gonna go next year. The only reason I can't go is I think if I left my baby that long, she'd just be so sad. She's very attached to me. She'll be older next year. I'll go next year if they have it. So maybe we can meet up in person. That would be so cool. Next year in
Yeah, that
person.
would be
Yeah. Um, so let me see. Let me see some other questions here. If you have to go, just let me know.
okay.
Love those. Oh, someone was saying if you wrote a book, what would it be about?
If
If
I
you wrote a book.
wrote a book, what would it be
Yeah.
about? It would probably be, I would have to say, maybe the facts and the fictions of the Amish lifestyle and what people think it is, and or something like
Yeah.
that. I mean, maybe.
That you should because the next person I'm talking to, he wrote a book about his experience growing up Amish. It's called Amish Memories. And I can't remember his last name, but his first name is Joseph. And I'll be talking to him about that. And he was saying how, a little bit similar to what you were saying, where he grew up, they had really strict rules. And he said that the bishop was almost like a dictator. And I don't want people to think that all places are like that, but because where I went, it definitely was not like that at all. They didn't even actually have a bishop where I went. They just had three elders who would take turns speaking, and there was a bishop, but he was in charge of a lot of different places, so he would come around like every few months or something. So they didn't even have a bishop, but yeah, he was saying his family's still there and how he wants he wants his family to I don't know if he meant like to leave or he just wants better for them. But so maybe it's a little bit maybe similar to yours, but that's different for me because I've always heard that that was a myth that they were like really really strict. But maybe it's
I
not.
mean, a lot of them. Yeah, that's true. A lot of them. I mean, they kind of do make the rules. Like, if
Is it the bishop that makes the rules?
he has a big part in it, I would say.
Okay.
I mean, today, but
Yeah.
he has a pretty big part in it.
Is there also like a group of elders or anything, or is it like just him?
Like the bishop, and then the deacon, and then maybe three preachers. And so,
Okay. Um. Wow. I didn't. I just always. I guess I always thought it was not like that because I hear the rumors and I always tell people I don't know if it's really like that, but they are all different and we can't assume anything. So, um. Oh. Melissa was asking when when you were Amish before, or people that you know who are still Amish, like your family or anybody in the church, do they think that we Englishers are lazy or selfish or materialistic, or do they just not judge?
I mean, they kind of talk about it in amongst themselves,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't talk about it like outside the communities or like around English people. They do. I mean, they would say that they would think that a lot of the English kids are maybe sit on the couch too much and
Yeah.
play video
Well, I think
and
people I
stuff
know
like
think that too. like a lot of adults think that.
I still a lot of English kids I know now. I mean, they're not that way, but then there's still a lot of it's just what comes with life. There's
Yeah.
English kids here, but yeah, I mean that kind of what their thinking is like.
Yeah.
I mean, now not all of them think that either.
That's good. And where I went, I was so afraid that I didn't know them at all. I called up a store that was owned by an Amish family, and I asked if I could stay with someone in the community, and that family invited me. And so when I went there, I didn't know anyone, and I went with my mom, and we were so scared that they would like really be judgmental of us. And we tried to like dress as similar as we could, and to them, we got like long dresses and everything. And we brought like bandanas to wear around our hair so we could cover our hair. And they were like, they told us, you don't have to try to like be just like us. We don't expect you to cover your hair or to wear like a long dress because you're not Amish. So you don't feel like you have to do that. And I just wanted to blend in just for the experience so that I could get a hands-on experience and like because the character in my book joins the Amish, like she's not Amish at all, and she ends a different book. She ends up joining, and I just wanted to see what a little bit of what that would be like. Of course, it's not the same, but that was interesting to me that they did not expect anything like that of us, and they were like, we don't care if you wear jeans or anything, you know. And I thought like that will offend them. We can't bring our jeans, and that was interesting. So they were really non-judgmental. So that was kind of nice because it was opposite of what we thought. We also brought our own toilet paper because we thought that they might not have toilets at all. We had no idea what we were getting. But they actually did have indoor plumbing, indoor showers, and it was run by propane, I think. They didn't have a fridge, though, and they had the old stove. No electricity. So, and you were saying the first place where you lived, you did not have indoor toilets, right?
No, we had the outdoor toilet.
Did you have like an outhouse instead, outside the house?
Yeah,
Oh wow! And then the second place you moved, they had indoor plumbing, right?
yeah. Then we had like a bathroom on every level of the house.
Oh wow! So, because that's interesting, and a lot of people say, "Oh,
Like
sorry."
that was like a huge step into modern society.
Yeah.
Seeing-
And what about showers?
And we had electric for the first 6 months in the house too.
Sorry, what? Sorry.
They and we had electric in the first 6 months of the house too.
Oh.
Like we had 6 months before we had to shut the electric off. So we kind of that kind of came in handy for the vacuum cleaner.
Oh my gosh! You had a vacuum. The
Yeah,
second place you lived.
but
Oh.
we can use it anymore after the electric.
Why was it only?
We had to start.
Why was it only on for 6 months? Was it because you just moved there?
Yeah, and you were like the community allowed you to have it on for 6 months, or like you had 6 months before you had to shut it off.
Oh, but then once it was gone, wasn't that kind of like awful?
Then we switched back into pioneer life
That's
again.
really funny that I thought it was just your house in particular, like because I thought that was maybe like the way you bought it or something. Is that normal? Like they always do that? Oh, sorry, it cut out. What did you say?
Yeah, that's the way that we bought it,
Oh,
and
okay.
like you bought the house that way.
Oh, and they were fine with you having it for the 6 months?
Yeah, now if you would have like built a new house, you could have not put electric in it and have it in there for the first 6 months.
Oh, that's really funny.
But if you bought the house that way, they allowed it.
Oh, wow. That's really, I never would have thought they would have done that. So you're going like with no indoor plumbing, and then you move, and then you get indoor plumbing and the electricity for 6 months. It's like that's totally different. Did you have showers the first place you lived?
Yeah, we didn't have showers,
Oh,
no.
okay. So what? How did they do that? Was it something outside that they had hooked up or something?
Like kettle, uh, wood, wood burning kettle, and they heat the water up. And usually, a lot of times we have to use the same water for maybe three of us kids had to use the same water, and then the rest had to use because it didn't always like there wasn't always like enough water in the kettle.
Oh my
It
God.
was a pretty like a maybe I like to say it was like a 6 foot by 6 foot kettle.
Oh,
I mean it kept a lot of water, so yeah.
is it like a bathtub
But
kind of?
no, it's just something to heat the water up. Then it has like a spigot to let the water out into the bathtub.
Oh, I thought you meant like a small kettle. I see what you mean.
No.
So it was like a big container, and you heat up the water in that?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant that you heat up you would heat it up on the stove and like put it in. That would take a long time. Although that's what they used to do probably hundreds of years ago. But oh wow, I've never heard of that. So and then when you moved, did you have showers inside?
Yeah, then we had
Oh
supper.
wow. I can't even imagine not having showers. We
Man,
lost power for like 4 days once and we were all freaking out because we didn't have showers. I'm like, this is ridiculous. We shouldn't be freaking out. But wow, that's amazing. Let me see if I can find another question here. I think I actually asked you a lot of them. Oh, okay. Someone said it's kind of long, so I'll just read it. I read a book several years ago where the community had houses where the walls could be removed for their Sunday services, and this was done so enough room could be had for the community to come in. It also stated that the services were rotated around the community instead of building a church or a community building. I would like to know. Oh, she said I would like to know about a lot more things, but I won't be greedy. And I emailed her back and I said, no, please ask me for more questions. I don't know if she emailed me yet. So she was just wondering about if they had like collapsible walls and if they had a church or if they did different houses. Because where I went, they actually I've heard more that they don't have a church and they change houses, but where I went they actually did have a church, but it also doubled as a school. So they had a wall, like the upstairs was the sanctuary and the schoolroom, and then the downstairs was basically where they would have potluck lunch after. But in the upstairs they had a collapsible wall so that if there was like a wedding or something big, they could make it bigger and it would go into the school area too. So did you guys have an actual church building, or did they have it in people's houses?
they had it at people's houses
Oh wow!
every 2 weeks.
Oh, every 2 weeks, not every other week, or is
Yeah,
it every other week?
like every other week.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
I think that would be 2 weeks.
right. Oh yeah, I thought you meant like 1 week and then skip two. And
Every other week.
then... Okay,
Yeah.
I think that's pretty common that they do it that way. The place where I went was the only place I had heard of where there's a church, and I only know that because people sometimes leave reviews saying your book there's a church in the Amish community and they don't have churches, and I'm like, well, some of them do because where I went they had a church, and it was also a school. Um, so again, they're all different, but did you when you were in school did you just go to eighth grade?
Yeah, I only went through 8th grade.
Okay. And then did you ever get like a GED or anything after you left?
Yeah, I did get my GED after I left.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. That is one thing. I mean, there are a lot of things I disagree with, of course, like but or that if I was Amish, I feel like I would disagree with, but that is one thing. It's like I feel like they should do at least high school, and I don't know, I just can't I don't understand that. I don't understand. They think it's prideful, right? That to go beyond 8th grade. Is it,
Yeah, they think it's prideful to get your higher education.
why is
I
that?
mean, I think it would be great if they would give the option of college too. That would be great. But
Yeah.
they shun
If you go.
that idea as quick as they would hear it.
Yeah, it's just that is really hard for me to understand. And then I've also heard a lot that the boys learn a trade and girls learn all this like homemaking skills. Sorry, is that true? Like they usually learn some type of specific trade.
Usually it is, yeah, like usually the boys mostly might do what their dad did or like, and then it kind of goes down from family to family or something like that.
Yeah, I mean that's even
Or
common here.
then,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
or then they might like do something different and do that trade. Like, I think most of the people I know, they do usually what their dad did, so
Hmm.
it's kind of down family to family, generation to generation.
Yeah.
And the girls, they usually learn how to sew, coat, grow a garden, all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff. And yeah, that's kind of the way it works.
Yeah. Which a lot of people I know would say that's really sexist, and like that's how they do it though, and um, so we can't be the judge of them. I think so, and it works for them. I mean, I think like, do you think are a lot of the times that girls would rather get have a career or like learn a trade, or are they usually fine with that, or like do you know of any of the girls who were against that?
I think well, all of the girls that I know, I don't really hang out with any Amish girls, so, but all of them that I know, I think well, at least they pretended like they were fine with it,
Yeah.
but I mean, that's just kind of the way they grew up. They didn't really have any other option if they wanted to get into like trade or stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
So usually, yeah.
Yeah.
And usually most of the girls that kind of start thinking maybe I want to be like explore more stuff, see what it is to have a trade or something like
Mm-hmm.
that, then usually those are the girls that do leave the community.
Right. Um. Oh shoot! What was I gonna ask you? I can't remember. I just like totally blanked. If I grew up Amish, I think I would have been like that because I'm like extremely ambitious, and I always knew I wanted to be a novelist, but really, in order to do that, you have to have internet and email and all of these things. Like, you can't just handwrite your book and mail it to an agent now. Like, you can't really do that anymore. You usually have to email. And like, I'm a self-published author, so everything I do is online. So I think if I would have grown up Amish, I would have been like, I need to follow my dream and do that. And I probably would have ended up leaving. I don't know, or maybe not. Maybe I would have stayed. I do know the family I stayed with in Maine, um, the woman I stayed with, her dad had a book. Hold on, I'll go grab it. Her dad published a book. I'm gonna get it. I don't know how he did it because no, hold on. I don't know how he did it without email and the internet and all of that. But it's called "Give Me This Mountain" by Elmo Stoll, and it is different story. It's well, there's no description on the back, but it's different stories. It says a selection of views and values. Um, so he did it. I don't know if it's sold online or anything, but so I feel like I would have been like really ambitious and like I want to go to high school, and I didn't go to college actually, but I think I would have wanted more, and I would have probably ended up leaving. But oh, I just remembered what it was. My question: when I was there, none of the so I was 20 when I went to go stay with the Amish families, and I was there for a week, and then I went back a few more times. Every time I would go, none of the men or the boys would even like talk to me. They completely ignored me. And I don't know if it's because they were like shy or if that's how they were raised to not talk to girls, like, especially because I was an outsider. I'm not Amish. Um, the only guys who would talk to me were the man I was staying with and the second family, that man that I was staying with. They were really friendly and they talked to me and they asked me all kinds of questions and I told them that I was writing a book about it and everything. And those were the only two men that would talk to me. But the men that were my age or the boys that were my age wouldn't even. Uh-oh, it says poor connection. Reconnecting. Are you still there? Oh,
Yeah, I'm still
okay. It's
there.
just frozen. But do you think that's because like they were kind of raised not to talk to outside, especially girls, or do you think they were just maybe shy?
Uh, yeah, I don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry. It keeps cutting out. I can't.
Because usually you're
Sorry, I can't hear you very well. It must be it's the connection. But from what I think you said was, it's the way they were raised. Is that what?
yeah,
Oh, I think you might be back then.
yeah.
That's what I thought, but I wasn't sure, and I wasn't offended or anything. I'm like, I just figured you're probably not supposed to really talk to me, and especially because I'm an outsider, and because I was a girl their age. It was mostly the guys who were my age, like wouldn't even come near me or look at me or anything. And I'm like, okay, that's fine, like. And I would talk to all the girls and all the women, and I got plenty of information from them. And I need to go back there. I haven't seen them in 5 years now. We wrote letters for a long time, but they had more kids and I had 3 kids, so kind of fell out of touch. But all right, that sounds great. So thank you so much again, and have a great night. And thanks again for talking to me. This was really great.
No problem. It was my pleasure. Thank
All
you.
right, all right.